Hey, ¿qué pasa, Calexico? Welcome back to the podcast. Like always, before we begin, I want to thank a couple of people. Like always, I want to thank my anchor sponsors, Jake, Sergio, Camilo, and Dylan. Thank you guys for sponsoring the podcast. I also want to thank David Costello. If you're thinking of buying or selling a home in the Imperial or San Diego counties, make sure you contact David. He's not only a realtor, but an investor with over 20 years of experience, and he'll help you along the way in one of the most important investments of your life. His phone number is 760-235-9576. And you can also find him on Facebook. Just search David Costello and you'll find him. Today's guest, before I begin, I want to just make sure that I let everybody know that this is not an endorsement. I'm just talking to one of the candidates just so that, you know, people in his area get to know him and get to make a better decision when it comes time for election day. Today's guest is a lifelong resident of Brawley. He's a small business owner. He's an activist, a veteran, and a fellow podcaster. My guest said, and he's now a candidate for Brawley City Council. Today's guest is Ramon Castro. Thank you for being here, Ramon.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it. It feels like it was just yesterday when we did this. By the way, I heard that David sponsors you, right?
Yeah.
Great guy. Work with him. He's awesome.
Yeah, he's like a big brother to me. I've known him since I was like 15, so you know he's like a big brother to me. Cool guy, really nice guy. Before we get into the meat and potatoes of your campaign, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? You know, growing up in Brawley, you know, I know you're in the service, and you've done some, you know, community work and especially helping out veterans in our area. Tell a little bit about, you know, all these things that because you've done a lot.
Yeah. You know what? It doesn't feel like I've done a lot, but if we put it all down and we talk about it, it can actually take quite a bit. Yeah, you know, I'm originally from Brawley, born and raised. I grew up in the East Side in the project specifically. Grew up around drugs, drug dealers, you know, gangbangers, murders, everything you can think of. But from a very young age, I was involved, and I knew that in order to improve our communities, we had to be involved and we had to be part of them, and we couldn't just hide out and we couldn't just turn a blind eye to things. So we had this one project at was Bobby's Market, a very well-known little market there in the neighborhood. This is before we all traveled all over the place. This is in the 80s and 90s, you know, going out Central or to Walmart, where there was no Walmart here. Most of us didn't have that type of transportation. So little markets back then used to survive and they would thrive, right? Well, that one was graffitied, and one night it was graffitied pretty bad. And the owner, he thought I figured it out eventually. He came and he just scribbled all over it. He did this weird little funky patterns all over his store because he was so fed up with the graffiti. And so what I did, along with the other group of kids, we went out, we got sponsors for paint, we got volunteers, and we got a local artist to help us design a mural. And we actually spent the entire summer painting a mural. We had Cesar Chavez, we had images of field workers, we had the Virgen de Guadalupe. It was really neat. We took pictures of local kids and some of the other kids that were talented, teenagers, then, you know, integrated those pictures into the actual mural. So a lot of the images there were of people from the community, but it brought something. It brought pride. It brought people took care of that. There was no more graffiti, and the store looked beautiful. And it was like that for many years until he closed sometime in the early 2000s. I was in the Marine Corps, and so when I came back one day, it was all white. Whoever bought it just covered everything up. But that was the first instance of community service. From there on, the list just goes on and on and on. Community involvement, always doing something right. And then obviously they went off to the Marine Corps, served some 7.5 years, came back, struggled a little bit, bounced around, looking for work. I was going to college, completed quite a bit of it. I'm not too far away from a bachelor's degree. But I was studying business, and when you study business, you got to look at the numbers, right? And you got to look at the big picture. And I decided that, I was already in my late 20s, so I got out of the Marine Corps at 25, that I needed something to provide for my family much sooner than, rather than later. So I joined the apprenticeship with the IBEW, completed a 5-year apprenticeship, and that basically you go to work through the day, you take classes at night, and so 5 years I did that, completed that many years ago. So I'm a journeyman inside wireman, an electrician, and I went into work for the actual union itself for many years. After I left there, I started my own business. Right around the same time we started our podcast. And so far, so good. We had a slowdown with COVID right at the beginning. So I'm a big picture kind of guy, right? So I look at the long-term effect of things. So if I'm going to fall behind, even if I had 2 or 3 months of savings or whatnot, I look at it and I prepare. So I took on work back as an electrician because, that's what I do. And I managed to land a schedule that's perfect. So I'm working a lot of hours there, and I'm also doing weekends, like Fridays or evenings or Saturdays or whatever. Like just right now, I just came from doing a home inspection. So I'm still operating my business. We're still doing the things we need to do. It's just like very little leisure time, very little downtime. So, which is good. I don't mind. It keeps us busy. It keeps our mind occupied. It keeps us working. And that's always, it's a blessing. There are folks who are struggling right now, don't have any work. And we're very, very lucky to be in the situation that we're in right now. So,
yeah,
that's me in a nutshell. Married, father. I have 5 kids, 2 older girls. They're already in their 20s. And then I have a 14-year-old son, an 11-year-old daughter, and a 6-year-old daughter. She turned 7. She will be 7. So, quite a bit. Quite a big family. And so, but here we are.
I don't really know much about politics in Brawley. So can you tell me a little bit without because I try to stay away from like bashing people or anything. But like, can you tell me a little bit about in terms of your opinion, what the situation is in Brawley in terms of the politics? Because I don't know nothing. Like I don't know the candidates, how many open spots there are. Like
so there are 3 open spots. It's a 5 seat council. It's a rotating mayor seat. So
similar to Calexico.
Similar, very same setup. There are 3 seats open, and only 2 of the incumbents are running for re-election. The current mayor, Norma Castro, opted not to seek re-election. So that left an open seat, and there is only 1 challenger besides myself and the 2 incumbents. So there's a 75% chance of getting in. So that's pretty good. But it's not the first time I run. And typically for city council, you got very few people challenge. It's not like Calexico where everyone tries to get on it. This was like, it's challenging. It's scary. And right now there's a budget deficit. There are issues and people don't want to touch it. And I don't blame them. It's tough. It's that situation, where when you look at the kind of people we are, right, and when we're faced with adversity, what do? Do we fight? Do we run? Or do we freeze? I'm the type of person that fights. So if I see a fire, I'm going to run to it to help. If I see a problem, I'm going to it to help. I wish I was different. It gets me into a lot of problems. And sometimes it helps. Sometimes not always, but that's just who I am. And I'm going to continue, like, even with this deficit, I think that a lot of things can happen, a lot of positive movement. And we can change Brawley to make it a better place to live, work, and play. And that's the biggest complaint. If I look, I lost already several times. It's been real close. What encourages me and encourages us, I mean, when I say us, is all the people who have supported me over the years and continue to support me. This victory, if there is a victory, would be as much for them as it is for me, because they've been there. They've been in the trenches with me since 2011. Well, I lost my train of thought. Anyways, we're excited. It's a big deal, and we're looking forward to November. Hopefully we can get this done.
What are some of the things that, besides, I guess, every small town like Brawley, Calexico, they're all facing these, budget cuts due to, COVID, businesses not being open. Besides that, what are some of the things that you've seen in Brawley that, kind of bug you that you might want to change as a city council member?
Yeah, there are some issues. And I mean, I think that, and I'm going to speak basically what I've been hearing from the people. It's not me. I can obviously pick at 10,000 things. But this is what people are saying. Look, transparency, we're not being heard. Things happen. We don't know much about it. A new board was formed for like economic development committee that's made up of department heads for the city. People, or you go apply for conditional use permits. It used to go in front of the planning commission, from the planning commission directly to the city council. Now it's evaluated and weighed in by department heads. And that's the process that it goes to now. Currently, there's a methadone clinic being proposed for downtown where Factory 2U used to be. And there's been some some serious issues and complaints about the condition of downtown. It's been dying for a long time. We've seen a little bit of activity, some life coming back to it. Some people have bought these buildings, are, fixing them up. Some little businesses are coming in. There's a new little ice cream shop. Our jiu-jitsu place is open. I say ours because I'm part of the team. I still think I got it, but I just go in there and get my butt kicked. So big shout out to Jorge Ramirez, our professor. Opened up. He actually lived in San Diego. Still does live in San Diego, but he's a Brawley native. Decided to open up in Brawley. It's gone well. Been hit hard by COVID. Still going. Still open. Still has this place going. So I really appreciate what he's done with that building with old Sam Ellis. So,
I want to kind of like plug somebody. My friend Willie Castillo. He opened Mexican Jumping Bean Taqueria. I don't know if you know that.
In Brawley?
I think it's on Main Street.
It's the one where it used to be where Lalo's was at.
I think so. Yeah.
It's off of Main Street, just Second Street. Yeah, we boil sometimes. We pick stuff up. So it's good stuff. I try to encourage and I try to support all local businesses. I do drop in. I go buy stuff. Even when I shouldn't or when I don't need it, I drop in, just buy something, buy some food, buy something to eat.
You there? Hello? Hello? Oh, you're back.
All right.
So we were talking about kind of like, well, some of the things that you want to change in terms of, the way Brawley's going in terms of.
Yeah. So look, right now, if you start a small business or any type of business, you make an investment, there are impact fees and requirements from the city to meet the downtown development plan. And it's very expensive. So if you're looking at, I understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to give the downtown a facelift. They're trying to make it look beautiful. They're trying to make it aesthetics, more welcoming. All that can happen, but the city is hurting big time. There's very little revenue coming in, very tax revenue, very little of it. And so one of the things we need to do to encourage business growth is waive the impact fees and some of the requirements that the city has for small businesses. Now, some folks have proposed that if you're going to invest $200,000 and up, that we waive impact fees. I disagree with that. I think it should be 100%. Like anybody, if you're going to invest your hard-earned, $10,000, $20,000, we're going to cut you a break and we'll let you go going. And maybe there can be I'm looking at proposing a timeline where if you stay in business, these are the things you got to meet over time, right? Obviously, you can't just open a place and have it looking like, just a dump. We need you to eventually meet these requirements because they do, and I do agree with the downtown planning, downtown development plan, where eventually it has to look a certain way. So, but if a business is going to come in, we don't want to set them back immediately by having all these requirements. but we do expect them eventually to do their part. If we're going to work with you, eventually you do your part. But that's the first part, is we have to make ourselves available. We have to waive these impact fees, and we have to support small business growth. We have to support them not just by waiving fees, but by working with organizations such as the Chamber of Commerce and asking for training, specific training with like QuickBooks, with how to work your own taxes, for tax write-offs, for online marketing, to expand your sales base to online, not just locally, which will ensure that these people have or give them a better shot at survival. Even right now with COVID, the businesses that were able to adapt, there's a donut shop here. It's called Hazard Donuts, I think.
Yeah.
Bro, they deliver with a face mask and they have a hazmat suit and a face mask on, a hazmat mask. They're killing it. You got to order in advance like a month.
Yeah.
They adapted. They adapted. And the Marine Corps is saying adapt and overcome any situation. And I think a lot of businesses have failed to do that. And again, we didn't give them that support either. So we need to do that. And that's not their fault. A lot of us start businesses with the dream and thinking that through hard work, we're going to succeed.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not that easy. There are a lot of different requirements. The government and bureaucracy is very intricate, right? There's so much involved with reporting, with taxes, with licensing, with insurance. It's overwhelming. We need to support our businesses so they can get to where they need to be and be self-sufficient and successful. But more importantly, we need to encourage people to try. I have an ambitious goal that once I get in, that we work with different departments, find ways to encourage small business growth, different types of funding, grants, local loans for small businesses with banks or whatnot. I would like to see 100 small businesses get started in Brawley within 4 years. And we're going to find a way. There's a market for everything out there. And we can do it. So we're definitely going to push. That's 25 a year. That's not bad.
Yeah.
And let's say we fall short and we only get 50. Hey, that's 50 more than what we currently have. There are different, I wrote down a note here. I know our assembly member, Eddie Garcia, passed they pushed the bill forward a few years ago for AB 626 for folks who cook out of their kitchens, for, small commercial businesses, people that cook out of home to sell to whatever, right?
Yeah.
I thought that was huge because that is a great place to get started in your own kitchen. They have to apply for licensing and whatnot and still go through the process, but now it's legal. It's no longer an illegal activity. So old mom or grandma, whatever, can start a business, can sell, can cater, can cook that baracoa at home, and then have it delivered to the quinceañeras or whatnot.
Yeah.
It's an economic empowerment. It protects public health. And then more importantly, it protects vulnerable communities where before people were being obviously fined or, were running into problems because they were doing this. Now they're empowered.
Yeah. And I think we've seen a lot of, like little small businesses, coming up, like, people selling those rim dips and all these candies with chile and stuff. Like, we've seen a lot of those little pop-ups coming up. And
yeah. That's major.
Yeah.
We should encourage more of that.
Yeah, and you talk about, growing up in the projects is something that me and you have, and similar. Like, I grew up in the projects too. And, growing up in the projects where I used to grow up, it's called Las Pichoneras. It's, like, I think I always say, like, when I have a chance, I try to mention it because I'm really proud of growing up in Las Pichoneras and growing up in the projects, the relationships I've made with these people, with my friends from Las Pichoneras these are like my family members in a way. But, being part of, the projects, I always kind of felt left out when it came to, city events or politics. Why is it important for you to, have a seat on the table, being somebody that, I'm assuming, I don't know if you still have, communication with, people from, the projects, these all, because we have a lot of low income homes here in Calexico. I don't know how it is in Brawley. I'm assuming it's similar.
Yeah, we do.
So I don't know if it's you still have connections with people from the projects, or is it important for you to represent these people that might not have a seat on the table?
Absolutely, and I think that the way we look at poverty is wrong, and I think that.
Oh, you froze again. You there? There you go.
Hey, I lost you again. There we are. So I'll pick up right there where why it's important, right? It's important because when little kids see that, when we don't give people hope, and there's always this criticism for those who don't know any better, those who didn't grow up in those communities, or those who didn't see, who said there was always an opportunity, and those of us who didn't always see one, who saw a quicker road to prison than we did to college, because that's just what it was. Those of us who were starving and saw what many people did just to try to have something nice or just to be able to eat. I understand, but we also want to show people that there is a better way. We also want to be an example. And I always talk about the fact that I grew up in the projects because people see me, I don't know, they see me a little different now. And most people don't know that I don't have a lot of money. I don't have, I have a little bit in savings, but I live okay. I make decent money. And I think I live better than a lot of people in our community. But I want them to see that it's possible. It's, if you work hard, there are opportunities out there, and we have to make the best of it. And your only choices they don't have to be prison. They don't have to be minimum wage jobs. You can put in the time, and you can raise your family. You can take vacations. You can have nice things. You can give back to the community, which I think should be your first goal once you start making a little bit of money. But it's very important for people to see that, and it's very important for people to understand that I see them. I feel their pain. But I also want people that are there right now who want an opportunity, who don't want to be on welfare, who don't want to be on government subsidized housing, that there is an opportunity, and that there is someone who hears them, and that we're going to try to create more opportunities for them. We're going to try to create opportunities for them to rise out of that situation. And I think that's important. Look, I went off to the Marine Corps because I thought that was and it was because I needed to get away. And it changed my mindset. I made a lot of mistakes as a teenager. I managed to put myself together, graduate from high school, get out of here, go to the Marine Corps. I thrived in the Marine Corps. I mean, I thrived everywhere I've been since then. And it's all through work and hard work and more hard work. And unfortunately, that's what we're going to have to do if we're going to close what's called the generational gap. I believe that every generation should do better than the previous generation. So I should do better than my parents, and my children should do better than me. And, the only way to do it is, through hard work and taking advantage of those opportunities. So if we're going to close that gap, being, who we are, we need to work very hard, and we just need to work twice as hard, but we also need to work smart. We don't need to kill ourselves forever. We need to teach people about investments, about finance, about, managing their credit. And I think that should be available to all of those communities. So I hear what's out there. I watched this interview about the marshmallow test that was conducted on children and later success in life. Have you ever heard of it?
No. Just
Google it. And when you talk about it, the marshmallow test, it's about when you give a small child a marshmallow and you say to him, if you can have this marshmallow now.
Yeah, I think I said it now.
If you wait 30 minutes, you'll get 2 marshmallows. And there's a direct correlation that those children that waited to get the 2 marshmallows were far more successful in life than those who didn't. And that goes back to when you talk about poverty, why do we do that? Because we don't know if there's going to be a marshmallow there tomorrow. We're going to eat it now. We don't know if it's really going to be there in 30 minutes, right? And a lot of that happens to us when we get out of high school or don't finish high school. We need to make money right away. We need help with that. We put aside going to college. We put aside all those investments early in life that would ultimately make us far more successful in a 10, 15-year period instead of versus just going in and taking a minimum wage job, But there are other ways to do that. We create opportunities, apprenticeships. Skilled labor is in huge demand. The workforce has been declining over the years steadily. And so they're very well paid with benefits and whatnot. So we need to encourage people. We need to find ways to help them get to that, get to those positions. And I think we can do that. And I think that city council, as an elected leader, we have a responsibility to promote the well-being of our constituents and the people that live in our community. So I think that would be something much different because I truly care. Empathy is something that's missing across all levels of government. I think currently with the current political crises, I guess, or I don't know, climate, empathy is missing.
Yeah.
And we fail to put ourselves in other people's shoes. But someone like me, I don't have to claim that, empathy because I know what it's like to be dirt broke. I know what it's like to have your toes coming out of your shoes. I also know what it's like to, have enough money to take a very nice vacation or buy yourself something very nice. And I also know what it's like to, have to get up at 3:30 in the morning out and get, go to sleep at 1 in the morning, preparing reports and, taking care of numbers and crunching, on the computer and then getting up at 3:30 in the morning to get up and do it all over again. So I understand all this because I've been there. I am literally have done all of that. So I get it. And I think that as a councilman, I would be able to understand and represent the people appropriately. Yeah. Not saying that others aren't. I'm just saying that coming from me, that's what you're going to get.
Mm. You mentioned you've ran before. What keeps you, wanting to? A lot of people would say I already lost a couple of times. I'm gonna just quit.
Well, I never ran. I didn't run because I wanted to be on city council or I need that. People run. A lot of people run because they feel that they can have a positive effect, positive change. Many others run because they like the attention. They want to be the mayor. They want to increase their, push their public image and move their businesses forward. There are many reasons for this, personal and professional reasons, that people have. The first time I ran there was nobody challenging. I was the only challenger. I've been the only challenger, I think, every time. This is the only time that I faced another challenger and that an incumbent isn't running. So when I ran in 2011, it was George Nava, Don Campbell, and Ryan Kelly. No one challenged except for me. Back then we had budget issues. There was a city manager that was highly overpaid. A lot of mistakes were made. I challenged. We were also coming out of a recession, and there were huge budget issues. And the solution back then was to get rid of more people, more working people at the bottom. So I ran that one on protecting city workers and closing the gap, the pay gap between department heads, because the good old boy clan was strong down here, and all the department heads were making $100,000 a year plus benefits, while the local, the small city worker was making less than 30,000, overall. Wow. And they were limiting those positions to create, to save money when we're so top heavy. And I ran on that, and I didn't win, but I got a lot of votes, and people had to pay attention. So they did change all that. Department heads and their contracts were restructured. But fast forward 9 years, we're having budget issues again. I'm very concerned that people are retiring. We're not replacing those people. There are issues with their pensions and the money that we're paying out. We're now facing a huge lawsuit over mismanagement of funds with personnel and their pensions. So we have to look at that again. But every time that I ran, the city is broken down in precincts. And if you look at the city overall, the west side is mainly white, Republican. And as you make your west to the east side, and it goes the same way with socioeconomic or economic situations, right? The situation gets poor and you have more color and less money. And you have less votes. The further east you go in town, the less votes you get. So the precincts all the way in the far east of town, you get very low turnout, about 15%. And they get increased until you get to Western Avenue, the highest turnout there, somewhere in the mid-20s. And then all of a sudden you get into those three precincts west of Western Avenue, and those are high, like 50 to 60% turnout every time. In those three precincts, I've gotten single-digit votes. But the rest of the town, I win the precincts. So people are supporting me. We just don't have the turnout that we need, and there are many reasons why people don't vote. One, they don't feel like anyone cares. Mm-hmm. They don't vote because they're busy working all day, a 12-hour shift. Many different reasons, and they just don't come out. But during the presidential elections, for some reason, everyone manages to come out. And this time, I said I wasn't going to run again, but this time, we know what the turnout is going to look like. With Trump seeking re-election, it's going to be huge, and my base will come out. If my base doesn't come out, if I don't win, then I have no business in politics, and I'll just leave it alone. But there hasn't been a better opportunity for me ever. This is the first time, like I said, that I'm not challenging all incumbents. This is I'm running up against, there is one open seat, and I think it's people say it's a given that him and I are fighting for that third seat. I'm just fighting for a seat. Yeah. So if our other challenger gets in, then so be it. Or the two incumbents retain their seats, so be it. I just want one. So we'll get in there.
Do you think that since most of us are going to get a mail-in ballot, do you think it's going to help out, or is it going to change the way there's the turnout this time around?
So I think it'll help. It's just up to people. And I think it's up to us also to encourage voters, to remind them. There are a lot of people running right now, bro. Like, everyone's running. The whole town is flooded. I don't know what Calexico's like. I haven't been up there. The town is flooded with signs. Everyone's challenging everyone for IBC board trustees. The school board's got like 10 challengers each, I think. The Pioneers Memorial Hospital, all of a sudden everybody wants to run for that. And then City Council. 3 seats, 4 people running, and everything's just saturated right now. So people will be reminded to go out and vote. We're pretty much everyone, people know me in the community. People have had encounters with me, either good or bad, but they've had encounters with me. And over the last 3 years, I've met a lot of people that I've never talked to before, and they're like, "I'm sorry, bro. I didn't vote for you last time. I voted for a new face." I thought that they're like, "We should have supported you." Like, no big deal, man. Here we are. Yeah. Things happen for a reason. Maybe I wasn't ready. Maybe I would have just messed everything up. Maybe with that, I would have never had the opportunities that I've had now to go to work, to start my business, to make it happen, on my own. And now that we're doing good, here comes another opportunity. Now we'll try it.
Yeah. And I don't know what the vibe is in Brawley, but in Calexico, we've had in El Centro, we've had a lot of young kids who are advocating people to go out and vote, or either running for school boards or city council. I don't know what's the vibe in Brawley like. Do you feel that the young generation is coming out and making noise, or is it? Because I know, something. I think something that happened, and there was a tragic accident with what's his this girl's name that got killed in Brawley. So I feel that there's a lot of things that are happening not only in
Maryland. You mean?
What was that? Yeah, Maryland.
Maryland.
Yeah. I think a lot of things are happening that are kind of making, this young generation, ask for a change. I don't know what's the vibe there in Brawley.
I'm going to join you through my phone because this iPad's about to die.
Okay.
As soon as you let me in, I'll close out the iPad. There we go. Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, let's kill this one. I'm sorry about that.
No worries.
How are we looking? Good right there?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, so you know what? It's interesting because I had a bunch of kids show up at my house last night, about 8 of them, I believe. They had a lot of questions. They had a lot of concerns, and they were all proud of Brawley. I thought that was interesting how they were saying, like, we love Brawley. We're proud of this town. I'm like, I hadn't heard that before. Like, not too many people are. But they're saying we want this place to be a better place. And I asked them, well, with limited resources, where do we start? How do we improve quality of life? How do we attract businesses? How do we attract more tax revenue? How do we do it? And no one had a clear answer. What was clear was what they wanted to see in the town was they wanted cleaner streets. They wanted better infrastructure. They wanted technology implemented to the things that we do. They wanted better parks. They wanted transparency. So they didn't want the government doing anything here without them being notified, without them at least having an opportunity to say something, which is fair, I think. It's very, very fair. But I've also seen a lot of youngsters come out. We did a rally in support of Vanessa Guillen, who was a soldier that was murdered in Fort Hood. A lot of young people came out. I saw that. For Maryland, I saw a lot of people were out there. I was super busy, didn't get an opportunity to go out there and check it out or join the rallies, which because I think it's sad. I think that it's sad. We don't know why this lady was murdered, this young lady, but I saw, you see, and I knew him as Nathan. And I saw this person around town, had obvious mental health issues, had drug problems. No one helped him. He has family here in Brawley, or her. No one helped her. And then one day she ends up burned. They murdered, and her body was burned. And everyone's upset. So people are active, but I always challenge any type of, when we say that we're upset, we also got to remember the problems that we have. People are here, have issues, there are drug issues, there are mental health issues, and we definitely need to help them. So with that said, if you don't mind me jumping into the methadone clinic again, I came out opposing him. And I'm not opposing methadone clinics or drug support, drug rehab. I'm opposing it being downtown because of what it's done to El Centro.
Yeah.
And we can't be naive and say, well, they do this. Organizations like this, nonprofits, they're looking to make their money. They're looking to help the individual, and they typically do not care what they do to their surroundings. So I say, let's do it. We're just not going to do it there downtown. It's just not the right place. So for those who are questioning my my beliefs when it comes to helping people, I totally believe it's a mental health issue. I believe we should help them. But Brawley is not a large community where if we put it somewhere else, they wouldn't be able to get to it. They can get to it. So
yeah. Is there anything that you would like to talk about that I didn't ask you or touch upon? Any closing thoughts?
No, look, there's a lot of stuff going on. A lot of people are saying my opponents aren't really running a campaign. The two incumbents, they haven't came out. They haven't put out signs. They haven't said anything. I think they got it in the bag, and they probably do. I've been out here working hard. I think that I've tried to done right. I've tried to do right. I've done right when it comes to the community. I've always helped. I've always cared. And that's not going to change whether I win or I don't. But I think we have to do more. We have to get involved. And one of the things that I've always done is I've managed to get people together. I've managed to bring people together and accomplish the mission. In the Marine Corps, that's a big deal. Mission accomplishment. That is like our first goal, right? And I do all those things by bringing people together. It's just phone calls. It's just requesting help here and there and scheduling and doing all those things. So I want to do that. And so when people come to me, and I told these youngsters last night, when you come to me upset with the problem, I'm going to ask you a couple of things. What solution do you propose, and how do you plan on helping? Because I think that with our limited resources and all the little things that we have going on, all the issues, we have to step up to the plate. And I asked them to apply for the Planning Commission, to Parks and Recs, because all the people serving are much older, and God bless their heart, like they're still hanging on and serving. But we need more people to come step up to the plate. That is one of my traits. I'm very, very good at getting people to come out. I rarely ask for myself. I'm almost embarrassed to do that. But when it comes to improving things in the community or helping others, I have no problem. And it's very easy for me to assemble, free labor, money, donations, whatever we need. But expect that from me. Expect that as a leader, to bring people together and get stuff accomplished. So 100 small businesses in 4 years is my goal. It's very ambitious, and we're going to push for it. We're going to work with the Chamber of Commerce. We're going to work with the city. We'll work with the new grant writer that they just hired. We're going to work with state officials. My favorite, obviously, being Assembly Member Eduardo Garcia, who I talk to almost every day and work very closely. Not saying that he's endorsed me or anything. I hope he does. But honestly, there's a way to do this. There's a path forward. They've done this in Coachella. There used to be a little town that was dying in eastern Riverside County. They brought it back to life. I think we can do that here too. I think we can do it by, waiving impact fees, supporting small businesses, supporting folks, helping them start their small business, and relying on our government officials up and down to the state level for grants, for support for infrastructure and other things like that. So there are different ways to attack this problem. I think it can be done, and I think that it will be done. Not just me, but working as a team with my colleagues, whoever they may be, in the next 2, 5, 10 years, whatever, however long I decide to stay on there, or I'm allowed to stay on there by the voters of the city of Brawley.
Yeah, and yeah, you bring a really good point that I'd never thought about, in the sense that as a community we might ask for things to change, but we need to also as a community volunteer and be part of this change, whether it's volunteering, cleaning up parks, painting walls. If we really want to make our city look beautiful and vibrant, we gotta put in the time a little bit too as well. Be part of the team.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it can be done if we all work together. And that is something that we need to really, really work on. I think if there's one thing that I can criticize my those who are around here, including at higher levels of government, not just city council, it's just their inability to bring people together. We have to do better at that. We have to do as leaders in this community. We have to bring people together. And not people together as sing kumbaya, screw all that. Let's get stuff done. That's what I'm about. When I say let's get together, let's be united, I mean, let's have a mission, let's have a goal, let's accomplish, man. Let's all go home and let's try another one next week. Besides that, I mean, people are going to disagree. They're going to fight over politics. They're going to fight over presidential politics. They're going to fight over religion. Let them be. But when we have a common goal, we seek common ground, and we work together to accomplish that goal or that mission, stuff gets done. That's what I'm going to focus on. I don't have time for everything else. I'm just too busy, and I do want to get stuff done. I don't take any position for the photo ops. I'm not very good looking, so I don't care to be in front of camera as much. But I do care to get stuff done.
Yeah. Well, Ramon, you cut out. Let's see if you come back. Let's see. You there? Can you hear me? Hello, hello. Oh, there you go.
There we go.
Ramon,
That's three.
yeah. Well, I want to thank you for taking this time. I know you're super busy, and not only with your small business, but your campaign. But I always see you out there hustling, and I want to congratulate you on that. I want to remind everybody this is not an endorsement. I'm just talking to Ramon here and making sure that you guys get to know him, and maybe he's the candidate for you. But yeah, I want to make sure that everybody goes out to vote, and bring a little bit more diverse leadership into our communities. We need change, and it's not only apparent here in our communities, but everywhere. We need a lot of change, and we need to be part of that change. And I want to thank you again for taking this time off. And yeah, thank you guys for listening. Wear your face mask. I'm tired of repeating this, but we gotta slow down this virus. Keep that curve going down. It helps everybody. It helps small businesses. It helps hospitals. It helps people just stay healthy. And wear your face mask, social distance, wash your hands, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Take care.